Hello and welcome to Bravo Boro's Backstage Pass. We're going to have a behind-the-scenes look at our production of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I'm Dr. Spivey, and joining me today is Janice Denson, who portrays Nurse Ratched. Janice, thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tell us a bit about Nurse Ratched. What sort of person is she?
Oh my goodness, Nurse Ratched. She is a sadist.
Mm-hmm.
She has a firm hand on the ward. And she is the puppeteer and pulls all the strings of all the patients.
Large and in charge, is she?
Absolutely. And the doctor as well.
What is the biggest role or the biggest challenge of taking on a role such as this?
Well, you know, Nurse Ratched is such an iconic character. I guess the expectation of wanting to bring everything you can to the character, and everybody knows Nurse Ratched, and so trying to bring something that's a little bit different to the role as
An
well.
expectation
Yes.
with the audience will bring them with them. I'm sure you're going to meet it nicely. What sort of things do you do when you're away from theater? Tell us a bit about Janice.
Well, I have 7 grandchildren who keep me very, very busy. And they're in age from 11 down to 3.
Yes, that's quite busy.
So when I'm not Janice in theater, I'm G-Mall to all of them.
And when was it exactly that you realized you had a passion for the theater and acting?
Oh, it's such a funny story because I had always been behind the scenes. Never wanted to be on stage. Never. And my friend, Micah Shane Brewer, started a theater company in East Tennessee, and every year he was like, Janice, come audition for this show, come audition for that show, and I never would because I was terrified. And I remember, I'm going to tell my age a little bit, but I was turning 40, and Encore Theater was doing Les Mis, and that was like the show that got me into musical theater, and that was something my daddy and I did together. And so I faced that fear, said, what's the worst they can do to you? Just tell you no. So terrified, I walked on stage and I did the absolute, everything wrong. My audition song was a song from the show. It's like the big no-no. Scared to death, shaking the whole time, stood in one little spot. And when it was over, it took Micah Shane 2 weeks to cast it. And the cast list comes out. And I read it, and I immediately called my daddy and said, Daddy, I made it in the show. He said, great. What role did you get? I said, I'm whore number 4. And so
that's a phone call every father wants to have, isn't it?
Of course. So that's how that started.
How exactly do you go about researching for a role? Not necessarily that role, but let's say Nurse Ratched, for instance.
So, for Nurse Ratched, of course, I've read the book, I've watched the movie, I've watched the stage play, I've done character analysis, you know, really tried to dive in and get to know.
A lot of homework. What's been your favorite role and why?
You know, I think so far of all the roles I've gotten to play, I love this role. I love this role because it's polar opposite of who I am.
And what's next? What's next for Janice?
Well, next, of course, I work with Bravo Boro, and I'm on their board, and so I'll be helping them with their next production.
That's going to be the summer.
The summer camp.
The summer camp in June. Yes.
That, and then the next production is 12 Angry Jurors, and I'll be helping with that.
And where do people find information about these productions?
They can actually go online to bravoboro.com and get tickets.
Oh, okay. Janice, thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to get your tickets for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest at bravoboro.com. The show opens Friday, April 22nd and closes May 1st. Saturday shows start at 7 p.m., Sunday shows at 2 p.m. We'll see you at the show.